Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari. Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Brajjana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Brajjana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari. Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Brajjana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Brajjana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Jai Om Vishnupad, Paramahams Parivrajak Ashtotar Shat, Shri Śrīmad Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki, ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today we are reading from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Canto 9, Chapter 6. Chapter 6 is entitled The Downfall of Saubhari Muni, and we'll read text number 1 and 2. And before that we'll read the chapter summary. So, chapter summary is as follows. After describing the descendants of Maharaj Amrisha, Shukdev Goswami described all the kings from Shashada to Manadhata, and in this connection he also described how the great sage Saubhari married the daughters of Mandhata. Maharaj Amrisha had 3 sons named Virupa, Ketuman and Shambhu. The son of Virupa was Prishadashva and his son was Rathitara. Rathitara had no sons, but when he requested the favor of great sage Angira, the sage begot several sons in the womb of Rathitara's wife. When the sons were born, they became the dynasty of Angira Rishi and of Rathitara. The son of Manu was Ikshvaku, who had 100 sons, of whom Vikukshi, Nimi and Dandaka were the eldest. The sons of Maharaj Ikshvaku became kings of different parts of the world. Because of violating sacrificial rules and regulations, one of these sons, Vikukshi, was banished from the kingdom. By the mercy of Vasishtha and the power of mystic yoga, Maharaj Ikshvaku attained liberation after giving up his material body. When Maharaj Ikshvaku expired, his son Vikukshi returned and took charge of the kingdom. He performed various types of sacrifices, and thus he pleased the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This Vikukshi later became celebrated as Shashad. Vikukshi's son fought with the demons for the sake of the demigods, and because of his valuable service, he became famous as Puranjaya, Indravaha and Kakustha. The son of Puranjaya was Anena. The son of Anena was Prithu, and the son of Prithu was Vishwagandhi. The son of Vishwagandhi was Chandra. The son of Chandra was Yuvanashva, and his son was Shravastha. who constructed Shravasti Puri. The son of Shravasta was Brihadashva. Brihadashva's son Kuvalayashva killed a demon named Dhundu, and then he became celebrated as Dhundumara, the killer of Dhundu. The sons of the killer of Dhundu were Dridhashva, Kapilashva and Bhadrashva. He also had thousands of other sons, but they burned to ashes. They were burned to ashes in the fire emanating from Dhundu. The son of Dridhashva was Haryashva. The son of Haryashva was Nikumbha. The son of Nikumbha was Bahulashva. And the son of Bahulashva was Krishashva. The son of Krishashva was Senajit, and his son was Yuvanashva. Yuvanashva married 100 wives, but he had no sons, and therefore he entered the forest. In the forest, the sages performed a sacrifice known as Indra Yagya on his behalf. Once, however, the king became so thirsty in the forest that he drank the water kept for performing yagya. Consequently, after some time, a son came forth from the right side of his abdomen. The son, who was very beautiful, was crying to drink breast milk, and Indra gave the child his index finger to suck. Thus the son became known as Mandhata. In due course of time, Yuvanashva achieved perfection by performing austerities. Thereafter, Mandhata became the emperor and ruled the earth, which consists of 7 islands. Thieves and rogues were very much afraid of this powerful king, and therefore the king was known as Trasadasyu, meaning one who is very fearful to rogues and thieves. Mandhata begot sons in the womb of his wife Bindumati. These sons were Purukutsa, Ambarisha and Muchukunda. These 3 sons had 50 sisters, all of whom became wives of the great sage known as Saubhari. In this connection, Shukdev Goswami described the history of Saubhari Muni, who because of sensual agitation caused by fish, fell from his yoga and wanted to marry the daughters of Mandhata for sexual pleasure. Later, Saubhari Muni became very regretful. Thus, he accepted the order of Vanaprastha, performed very severe austerities, and thus attained perfection. In this regard, Shukdev Goswami described how Saubhari Muni's wives also became perfect. So, text number 1, please repeat. Shri Shuka Vacha Virupa Ketuman Shambhur Ambarisha Sutastrayah Virupat Prishadashvo Bhut Tatputrastu Rathitarah. Shri Shuka Vacha Virupa Ketuman Shambhur Ambarisha Sutastrayah Virupat Prishadashvo Bhut Tatputrastu Rathitarah. Shri Shuka Vacha Virupa Ketuman Shambhur Ambarisha Sutastrayah Virupat Prishadashvo Bhut Tatputrastu Rathitarah. Shri Shuka Vacha Virupa Ketu Manchambur Ambarisha Sutatrayaha Virupat Prishadashvo Bhut Tatputrastu Rathitaraha. Matajis. Shri Shuka Vacha Virupat Ketu Manchambur Ambarisha Sutatrayaha Virupat Prishadashvo Bhut Tatputrastu Rathitaraha. Shri Shuka Vacha Virupa Ketu Manchambur Ambarisha Sutastrayaha Virupat Prishadashvo Bhut Tatputrastu Rathitaraha. Shri Shuka Vacha Virupa Ketu Manchambur Ambarisha Sutatrayaha Virupat Prishadashvo Bhut Tatputrastu Rathitaraha. Shri Shuka Vacha. Shri Shukadev Goswami said, Virupa, by the name Virupa, Ketuman, by the name Ketuman, Shambhu, by the name Shambhu, Ambarisha, of Ambarisha Maharaj, Sutatrayaha, the three sons, Virupat, from Virupa, Prishadashva, of the name Prishadashva, Abhut, there was, Tatputra, his son, Tu, and Rathitara, of the name Rathitara. Translation. Shukdev Goswami said, O Maharaj Parikshit, Ambarisha had three sons named Virupa, Ketuman and Shambhu. From Virupa came a son named Prishadashva, and from Prishadashva came a son named Rathitara. So this text has no purport. We'll go to text number 2. Rathitarasya prajasya bharyayam tantavirthitaha angira jana yamasa brahmavarchasvinah sutan. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. Rathitara had no sons, and therefore he requested the great sage Angira to beget sons for him. Because of this request, Angira begot sons in the womb of Rathitara's wife. All these sons were born with Brahmanical prowess. Purport. In the Vedic age, a man was sometimes called upon to beget sons in the womb of a lesser man's wife for the sake of better progeny. In such an instance, the woman is compared to an agricultural field. A person possessing an agricultural field may employ another person to produce food grains from it. But because the grains are produced from the land, they are considered the property of the owner of the land. Similarly, a woman was sometimes allowed to be impregnated by someone other than her husband. But the sons born of her would then become her husband's sons. Such sons were called Kshetra Jata. Because Rathitara had no sons, he took advantage of this method. That's end of purport. Om Ajnantimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So here is another interesting chapter, the downfall of Saubhari Muni. And in 9th canto, in general, we find names of many kings given. We read the summary, and the first verse we saw sons of this king, and then there will be their sons, and so on. So one time, I think I mentioned earlier, one time I was speaking to His Grace Bhurijan Prabhu, and he asked me, what are you reading? So at that time I was reading 9th canto of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam in my regular study. So he said, any question from 9th canto? So I asked, why is so many names given there? What's the use, or what's the importance? So he said, the importance is to make us understand that we are very insignificant. All these kings at one time were ruling big tracts of land, and now their names are given just one after another, and we don't even want to listen to such description. So means for us, these names are not very significant. But at the time they were ruling their kingdoms, they thought they are very significant and big kings and rulers. So this is our main problem, that we think we are very important, our life is very important, our conceptions are very important, our thoughts are very important, but actually nothing is so important. But as soon as we dovetail our activities and thoughts in Krishna consciousness, then there is some meaning to it. We know that famous analogy that you can collect so many zeros, but as many zeros you collect, it's a futile attempt. The value will be zero still if you have 1 zero or 1,000 zeros. But as soon as you put 1 in front of it, then there is some meaning. So that 1 is Krishna. Krishna is the Supreme One. He is the only one. So we have to add Krishna to our life. But without Krishna, if we think our zeros, our different designations and possessions and relations have any meaning, so if we think like that, then we are actually in some sort of hallucination. So that's why we read these descriptions from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, and slowly we come to our senses. So here Prabhupada begins his purport to text number 2 as, in the Vedic age, a man was sometimes, and so he describes something, but he starts with, in the Vedic age. So he writes in a way saying the Vedic age is not current, it's not going on right now. So there was a Vedic age. So where did it disappear? Where is the Vedic age? We may think, oh, maybe Vedic age is there still in India, the land of Dharma. So unfortunately, there also the Vedic age has disappeared in one sense. The remnants are there. And we have another analogy, famous analogy of an elephant. If there is an elephant walking on a street or nearby, or if an elephant is in a hall, you cannot neglect it. It's there. Its presence is felt. So Vedic culture is compared to the elephant. So currently, the elephant is dead. So, and the analogy goes that even the dead elephant is valuable to some degree. If the elephant is alive, of course, you can take its assistance for many things. Traditionally, elephants are known to move heavy stuff, move logs, and carry the load, and they're still used in India in many temples for procession. because elephant, horse, these animals are considered very high-class animals. Within animals also we have different categories. So elephant is considered very royal, and kings would ride an elephant, and even the deities, even now in many temples in India, they go on a procession on top of an elephant. So this elephant of Vedic culture, when it was alive, it had so many advantages, and we could derive so much benefit from Vedic culture. But now it is dead. So if an elephant, actual elephant dies, it's still valuable, because if you see the tusks, they are used as ivory, and it's a very expensive material. So many poachers and hunters, they kill elephant for that, those ivory. So dead elephant is also valuable. So currently Vedic culture is dead. So that dead elephant is in that land of India. You will see the remnants. So it's still valuable, because externals are there of Vedic culture. Only externals are remaining in India, and they are disappearing very fast. But in the West, we don't have even those remnants. So that's why it's a struggle throughout the world, India or the West. To practice devotional life, it's a big struggle. And then what to speak of approaching new people and telling them about these devotional principles. First, we have to read these descriptions and try to make sense of it, and then we have to explain it to others. If you see today's verse, it's a very foreign concept given here, that Rathitara had no sons, so he called upon a sage to beget sons in the womb of his wife. And here it is said it was like a common practice in Vedic ages. But now it's a very strange concept. We must not have even heard about it. So because Vedic culture is not there. So we have to analyze ourselves. When we read these concepts, so if we think that, oh, this doesn't make sense, so that sort of thought proves that we are very far away from the Vedic culture, actual Vedic culture. Because during Vedic culture, this was just another incident, very common incidents. And similarly, there are other things. So slowly, when we hear again and again these descriptions of what was going on in the actual Vedic age, then these things slowly start sinking in. And then they start making sense. And then for us, miraculously, that elephant is revived, resurrected. So yes, Vedic culture is dead, but if we want, it can be alive for us. So that is our devotional society, community. So in our ISKCON society, Vedic culture is alive. And slowly devotees are taking up Vedic culture, like, Matajis are sitting this side, Prabhus are sitting this side. So this is Vedic culture. Very, very simple. But a new person comes, they actually don't even notice. And I was in Melbourne earlier, and I was away for 10 years, so I came back just recently, and I'm noticing this change. Then more and more, even Indian people, when they come to the temple in the morning, they fail to even observe that ladies are sitting that side and Prabhus are sitting this side. Ladies sit this side. They fail to observe. They're so narrow in their vision. And they have forgotten this thing. So within 10 years, there's such a big change. And even in Prasada Hall, I noticed in the morning. Of course, in the afternoon and evenings, we have new people, they come. So for Sunday feasts and other programs in the evenings, we don't, I think, stress that. But at least in the morning, this is part of Vedic culture, the separation between men and women a healthy distance, so we can focus on the main goal of life. So we have to analyze ourselves, that we have to again come back and familiarize ourselves with this real Vedic culture. So this Kali Yuga is so degraded that people have become totally blind. In Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, first canto, it is mentioned, Kalau nashta drisham esha. In Kali Yuga, the vision, the eyesight of people is gone. Nashta means it has been destroyed. So our vision, the real vision, the spiritual vision has been destroyed totally in Kali Yuga. But there is a way to revive it. With the help of the spiritual master, spiritual masters, and with the help of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. So we have that famous Guru Pranam mantra, Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. So we have been blinded by ignorance, especially in the age of Kali. And Guru has the power, with the torchlight of knowledge, he can open our eyes. So just imagine if someone is able to see, his eyes are not destroyed, but he has closed his eyes tightly and he's struggling to walk, and he's bumping into things and falling down and then getting up. So if a person who has his eyes open, when he sees him, that person will have some compassion. What is he doing? So he'll try to open his eyes. Why? Can you please open his eyes? Can you actually see? The person says, yes, I can see, but for some reason my eyes are shut. So a person with open eyes will have some compassion. So that's why when these senior devotees, pure devotees, spiritual masters, they see people like me, who are beginning to open our eyes, so they have compassion on us. So that's the spiritual master, and that is the whole point of outreach. And recently we had Narasimha Chaturdashi, so the popular devotee Prahlad Maharaj, by his example, he shows that Shoche tato vimukachetasa indriyartha. So he says, I am very happy because I am always thinking about you, my Lord. And we know of the 9 processes of bhakti. Each process has one example of a devotee who has perfected that process. So for the process of smaranam, remembrance, it's Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj had perfect remembrance of the Lord. And he says himself, it's quoted in Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, that I am myself very happy. Mahamrita Magna Chitta. I am actually swimming in the nectarian ocean of devotional service. But I am sad at the same time. Because I see these fools and rascals, they are trying to enjoy in this material world. So that's a spiritual master. The spiritual master sees this person can actually open his eyes and walk correctly and not fall down or bump into things. But he is somehow not opening his eyes. So the spiritual master has this compassion. He may not say anything to us. He can just go back to Godhead or, mind his own business. But these senior Vaishnavas who are para dukkha dukhi, they think that these foolish people are tripping again and again because of ignorance. So by their compassion, because of their compassion, they actually try to help us and spend their time in opening our eyes. So in Kali Yuga, it's very important to take shelter of these spiritual personalities, and also Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Kalau Nashta Disham Esha Puran Arko Dhunodita. So this Śrīmad Bhāgavatam has arisen as the sun in this dark age of Kali. So as soon as we open the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, there is light. So one of the old pictures of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, I think in the first canto, it shows the dark age of Kali. It's very dark and people are suffering there. And then there is one sage standing on the top of that picture with open Bhagavatam, and there is light coming from that Bhagavatam, like a sun is on top, like sun, and people are suffering in darkness. So that is Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. So we have to take help from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam and improve ourselves. So what is this darkness? In second canto it is mentioned that because of this darkness of ignorance, we have two misconceptions. One is, two misconceptions are I and mine. I and mine. So what is the misconception of I? The misconception of I is I am this body, I am this mind, my subtle body and gross body, that's me. So that is first misconception. We actually so much identify ourselves with our body and mind. So that is one misconception. And second misconception is mine. That whatever is related to this body, any possession or relation, that is mine. So, do we have to get rid of these misconceptions? So actually the real answer is we don't have to get rid completely of the conception of I and mine. We just have to purify it. So there is a purified conception of I and mine also. And what is that? I am Krishna's servant. Jivera Swarup hoy Krishnera Nityada. So that is our real identity. So we don't have to get rid of the ego or identity, but we just have to understand and realize the purified identity, purified concept of I. So I am servant of Krishna. And then what is the purified conception of mine? Anyone knows? The purified conception of mine is Krishna is mine. So I am Krishna's and Krishna is mine. So that's the purified conception. So we just have to come to that understanding slowly. And then in this verse, Yarhi Vav Mahimni Swe. So when we get rid of these contaminated misconception, then we are situated in our true identity, and that is very glorious. Mahimni, the word used there in Bhagavatam is Mahimni, means anything Maha is great or glorious. Mahima, that's the glorious thing. We are actually glorious as long as we are connected to Krishna. So the sparks are there on top of fire. As long as they are just on top of the fire, near the fire, you can see the sparks sparkling, like little, you can see the little light there. But as soon as the spark goes away from the fire, it is extinguished. So that is our situation. So the title of the chapter is The Downfall of Saubhari Muni. So we may think, oh yeah, poor Saubhari Muni fell down. He was such a great sage, meditating underwater. So that's another thing. I'll come back to that. So we may think, oh, this is an isolated case of a fall down of a sage. So then we have to think, what are we doing here in this material world? Is this our original constitutional position? If not, then there are two possibilities. One is we fell down from our original spiritual position, or the second is Krishna actually sent us, like he sent Prabhupada, please go and help the fallen people. So these are the two situations. So that's for everyone to think about. That's definitely the fallen down case. So we fell down from our spiritual position and we have forgotten. So this is not only the story of Saubhari Muni, it's everyone's story, most people's story. There's only few Shaktavesh avatar who appear and help. But most of us have fallen down in, to some degree or greater degree. And especially in Kali Yuga, mostly it's the greater degree. It's a dark age of Kali. So, so Saubhari Muni, he was meditating underwater. Again, when we think about this, this is not possible. How is that possible? So if we have that thought, means we are very far from the Vedic culture. In Vedic culture, there were so many yogis. This is nothing spiritual. This is subtle material mystic science of controlling the breath. There is Ashtanga Yoga process. There is Yama, Niyama, Pranayama. It's Pranayama, the controlling the breath. It's only the third process in Ashtanga, 8 process yoga, part of Ashtanga Yoga. The third one is Pranayama, controlling the outgoing and incoming air. And in, I think, 5th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, it's given that these yogis, they merge the outgoing air into the incoming air. They merge it. And they are in the state of, they can control their breath. They stop their breathing in that way. They take very few breaths. So according to the yoga science, it's not that we have limited number of years according to our lifeline. It's we have limited number of breaths. So the yogis know that and they do pranayama and they control the breath. So they breathe very slow. So they extend the number of years they live. I think one time Prabhupada was somewhere in Rishikesh or somewhere and there were some young boys came out of Ganges and Prabhupada mentioned to disciples that these are sages, very old. So some sages in purports we read that there are some sages, even now there are sages like that, who can live up to 300, 500 years, 700 years, because they slow down their breathing process. Of course, we, as they say, don't try it at home. We won't be able to, because we have to perfect yama, niyama. It's very hard. Arjuna, when he heard about the Ashtanga Yoga process in 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, he said, I cannot do it. So what is the chance of us in this age of Kali to get mastery on our breath? The city life is mainly in mode of passion and ignorance. So in passion, we actually breathe very fast because we are running here and there. I was in India recently for 4 or 5 years. So coming here, when I see the cars, they are going so fast. Of course, in India, there's a lot of traffic also. But at the same time, I can feel there's a lot of increased level of passion. So cars are going so fast. And if you go little slow, even 5 kilometers per hour slow, then the car behind you is, trying to come fast and tell you that, go fast. You can't go slow. So when you have such a fast-paced lifestyle, we actually breathe more. So that's why the average lifespan is decreasing. And also we have such impure food that we have. Organic food items are very expensive and very rarely obtained. So not everyone can afford. And the system is made in such a way that certain type of diet is subsidized and so on. There are many documentaries made on that. So the diet based on meat products, which is actually supposed to be very expensive, because it requires so much water and so much land usage to get a certain portion of a meat product, food to eat. The vegetarian food product actually is much more economical, but we don't see that because the society is designed in a way, the economics and politics of the whole world is designed in a way that we are forced to live an artificial lifestyle of unhealthy food items. Recently, we were talking to some people and they were saying, yeah, food has become so degenerated and so much artificial things are there in our food. So that also reduces our lifespan, the food in the mode of passion and ignorance. The food in the mode of goodness actually increases the duration of your life. It's mentioned in 17th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Ayu sattva balarogya sukha priti vivardhana. It increases your duration of life. It increases your happiness. Ayu sattva bala, it increases your strength. Arogya, it increases, it makes you live longer and healthier, less diseases. That's the food in mode of goodness. And that's becoming lost because of the structure of the society. But again, it's we can actually make some difference. I heard recently, Gopal Guru Prabhu is here, we can verify, in New Zealand they're having a new farm, new Kulinagram, and they're growing vegetables and supplying to devotees in Wellington and for preaching programs also. So it's like a combined effort of a society, and here also we can see devotees have the mother cow dairy is there, and devotees are taking advantage of protected cow milk. So by cooperation among devotees and this desire for having pure lifestyle, so that we can have mode of goodness and then we can perform bhakti. Pure food stuff is not just for elongating our life, because again in Bhagavatam it is said, what's the use of a long life if there is no Krishna consciousness? Even one moment of Krishna consciousness is better than a long life devoid of Krishna. So yes, we want to take care of everything. We want to have a healthy lifestyle in mode of goodness so that we can perform our bhakti properly, hearing and chanting properly. Because mode of passion is followed by mode of ignorance. So if you, very simple example, if you run hard, long distance, and after that, you are tired, and then you want to sleep. So passion is followed by ignorance. Too much hard work is followed by sleep and laziness. So in mode of goodness, we can actually do a lot. Usually we think in passion we can do a lot. We should have some passion. No, actually after passion comes ignorance. Then we are inactive for so long. So we have to be in goodness. Goodness is the middle path. It's a very balanced approach. You do everything correctly, nothing more or less. In passion we try to do more, in ignorance we do less. So we have to strike that balance and simultaneously perform bhakti activities. So here these descriptions are there of kings and the Vedic culture. So some things will feel out of place. In 9th canto especially, you see all these pastimes, very different pastimes. We also read in the summary, in this chapter we'll see, a king will give birth from the right side of his abdomen to a child. The male will give birth. So all these things are, amazing things are given in Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. So 9th canto is basically finally preparing us to enter 10th canto. As Prabhupada says, after we have read 9th canto, we become God realized, and then we are ready to enter 10th canto, which is the main subject matter of 10th canto. So 9 cantos are preparing us. So we have this opportunity to carefully hear these pastimes and rewire our conceptions of what actual Vedic culture is. So I'll stop there and see if you have any questions or comments. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you for the nice class. Prabhu, you mentioned how in the Western countries, the Vedic culture is not there, and even in India, that there's only remnants left. But I was thinking why these kings, they always desire to have sons. Like we see Dhritarashtra, they do austerities just to obtain sons and not daughters. But here, even in India, they still have, like some people still have that concept. But here, it's a bit different, so.
Okay, so that's why we are not taught these things in school, modern day education. That's why these things seem to be very strange. But in Vedic culture, it's a normal thing. Why do they want to have son? Because it is said, I forgot the Sanskrit, putra prayojana. What is the goal? Why do we marry? That's what it's in the scriptures it's given. Why should people get married? The answer is putra prayojana, to get the son. And why do you need to get the son? Because putra, there is a hell called by the name Pu. And tra means trayate, which delivers you from that hell. So that is how the creation and the Vedic culture is set, that the son delivers the father. This is the ideal Vedic culture. The son delivers the father, and the son has been taught all the Vedic Shastras. The young sons, when they are the boys, when they are 5 years old, they would go to the Gurukul. The sons of Kshatriyas, Vaishyas and Brahmanas would go to Gurukul and they learn the Shastra. And then, if the father dies, then the sons will do Pindadan. There's a whole procedure. They would do Pindadan and deliver the ancestors and the forefathers from going, and they will help. They will prevent them to go from going to this hell named Pu. And they deliver the father, and because the wife of the father is following a very dutiful and spiritually minded husband, so she also goes to the same destination. So the son delivers. So basically everyone goes to Godhead. So it's a good deal. So it's not like, oh, the son, why son and why not the daughter delivers the mother and then father goes. We can argue like that. So it's not a point of, because we are not this body. We are not male or female. We are spiritual being. Probably 44 years ago I was in a female body. And maybe, 15 years back you were in a male body. So we are not these bodies. But the thing in the Vedic culture, it's designed like that. Putra prayojan. So these kings were desiring sons so that they can deliver. They can prevent their journey towards hell. So basically everyone is a winner. But our conception in modern day and age is, oh no, I am better. And everyone is trying to exploit everyone else. So the person who is exploited thinks, no, I am not weaker, I am stronger. So that's why this conception is there. But the Vedic culture, it's a very harmonious structure. All the genders, all the ashrams, all the Varnas, they assist each other, they help each other very harmoniously, and they all progress. It's like that. I hope I answered in some way. Yeah. Any comments on that question or any other question or comment? Yes, Mother.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, thank you for the nice class. I just feel like it's interesting how the king chose that method to get sons, because we also have in the 6th canto, King Chitraketu, he had millions of wives, but he didn't choose this method to get children. And yeah, so I mean, I don't know, but I was just wondering if I don't know if there's an answer for this, but if they have in the Vedic age, it looks like they had these different options where they can get children.
Yeah, so that's so many options are there, so that's good. And usually I've heard for Grahasthas, there's a lot of options that they can choose. Everyone has different style. So yeah, Chitraketu Maharaj did not do that. But here we see this king did that. So a lot of options are there in Vedic culture. It's when people read Bhagavatam, they think, oh, it's very restricting. Vedic culture is very restricting. No, actually, it's actually liberating. There are a lot of options. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, Gopal Guru Prabhu.
Just one principle on that. If you look at Dasa Maharaj, sorry if I get it mixed up, when he couldn't conceive a son, but then the whole principle behind this is that he went and he took advice from his gurus, from the Brahmanas, and then the Brahmanas then advised, well, you should do this yajna, etc., etc. So when you're looking at all these situations in the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, I was giving a discourse on this, I know, several weeks back, and it all seems to be tragedy. It's not that, this sadhu decided to go to the Ganga and do meditation and then come back and he had a lovely day. No, he goes to the Ganga and some Sara comes and tries to disturb him because Indra's upset. There's all this kind of tragedy. But then they take shelter of the spiritual master or the saintly people, then they give them advice. So I guess this is one key principle just take from this, is that they just did not, okay, I'm going to pick this method. Because if we did that, then undoubtedly, or at least myself, my impure mind will think of whatever's the most attractive. But no, the spiritual masters guide us in these difficult situations, best path to take.
Thank you, Prabhu. Anything else? Okay, thank you very much. Granth Raj, Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.